gender balance here. We're talking about the return of the goddess, which would balance off the predominance of gods that we have now. But it also has to be species balance. We need to recognize that we're not the only species that counts on this planet. You know, and we need to recognize this in our hearts and philosophically, not just because, oh, you know, well, if there's no grass, then there's no cows, and there's no hamburgers. I mean, that's an obvious thing, you know. But we can't be constantly referential to our own species. We, you know, the respect and the balance and the desire for balance, I think, needs to extend to all carbon-based life forms.
Exactly, right. Life, it's the life force itself.
Yeah.
And that's very much the religions that I like to call Shahin Buddha. Can we have the Shahin Buddha cue there? And it's an amalgam, a logical amalgam of shamanism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. They're the Eastern tend to be external. They tend to be balanced. If you look at the gods of Hinduism, they're always paired with an equally powerful goddess. So you don't have these very powerful male only, and they're always in balance. Equality.
Brings in the equality.
Right, exactly.
And actually, you know, when we're talking about the being and the doing, merging those two energies, it's like an acceptance. They flow in and out of one another. And actually using dance as a means to, I really view dance as the expression of
being
union.
and doing at the same time, because you are being and you're doing at the same time. I never thought of that. That's exactly,
it is the
I think that's
actual,
it.
I mean, to me,
It's actualization.
It's the process of creation.
Right, exactly.
Because it is going deeply within, surrendering to receive the flow, and using your will to take the action. It's initiating an action without control.
Right.
So you're not sitting back and just being. In the past, it was all doing action, you know, in the head, got to get things done. And it's not about just bringing in the goddess and let's sit around and be. You know?
Still have to do something.
Yeah, it's like,
somebody still has to put some bread on the table.
Let's receive
but without
the
force.
energy. Yeah, without force. It's merging the softness with the strength and being in that union.
Yes, exactly. And the Nataraja dances creation into being. In the Hindu mysticism, it's the dance. It's the Lord of Dance. This is the dance of creation.
The dance of creation. It's how it's merging. It's bringing. When you think about it, as the sky is spirit and the earth is, you know, sky is masculine, earth is feminine.
Exactly.
We're merging those two dimensions. So what we're doing by the actual expression through the dance, we are merging spirit into matter and resonating that sound frequency onto this planet, which is merging the two dimensions.
Right. And music plays a part of that as well. Art.
The sound.
That's all, yes, the sound.
The resonance. It's like the movement and the sound are one. It's one vibrational frequency that's being communicated.
When it's being communicated. I mean, I'm thinking of the story of the man looking through the window and seeing people turning in bizarre motions. And because he's deaf, he can't hear the music. All he sees is what seems to him movement that makes no sense.
Right, because it's
and
not
once you hear the music, it's hard not to dance.
That's true.
But if you've been culturally trained that, one, you don't hear music, and if there is music, it's wrong.
Right.
Then the dancers are just these mad people at the edges. And it's that question of how do we stop being deaf? Because the dance is powerful enough, so once you hear it, in a sense, you're halfway there.
Right, and hearing it is really the experience in the body.
Well, that's where the healing comes in, is to be able to hear it.
In the body, feel
The
your,
heart,
your
the gut.
vibrational sounds.
As opposed to the mind.
Right.
That's right, and bringing especially males of our species back into their bodies,
Yes.
back into their
Yes.
feeling.
And that's my big
with.
lesson.
You know, I really feel that most men make these like short forays into their bodies when they're having sex. And other than that,
very
limited
short.
part of their body.
And other than that,
Some
they're
men are
just-
more involved, though. I have to say
Very,
some
it's a very
men
small
are more
part of the
involved.
body that they're tuning into, actually.
Yeah. Whereas there's so much more, and that's why.
I'm not
You're not going to tut that one with a 10-foot
I just
pole.
keep thinking that driving over to her house is what men think foreplay is.
Right.
And I don't want to go beyond that.
Right.
Because it is about being incarnate It is about being in the body. It's also about being in the mind. It's about being in the stomach. It isn't this kind of specialization that New Agers tend to get into, which is my way is probably the best, but I'm very tolerant of your slightly inferior way.
That
The
attitude
question
is
is
prevalent.
more, if you look at a piece of rainforest and you've got 200 species, they're not arguing, they're saying we're all here together, and a lot of what we're doing is killing and eating each other.
That's right.
But
I'm just
without,
taking my part of the food
but
chain
without
here.
any of us, it doesn't work.
But we're also singing together. If you ever listen to the rainforest at night,
love
they're
it.
all
That's
going.
a good point. Yeah, there's some harmony in
Yeah.
union.
No, but remember what the words are to that song.
Right.
Get out of my turf, you. Or I'm gonna you.
I guess I don't know that song.
There's also the mating song.
Well,
Back
I
to
guess
the-
what I'm saying is that there is in nature a lot more conflict than we
yeah.
wish to admit to. And the question is not to eliminate conflict, but how does conflict serve the larger dance?
Right.
Because it's pretty clear that at least men seem to adore conflict.
They're very
when there is
competitive.
peace, they get very irritable, and when there's war, they get very cheerful.
Right.
But that may be a neurotic symptom.
It
rather
is,
than
it
a
is.
facial, you know. But I agree that there needs to be some sort of conflict in order to have resolution, in order for there to be a story. You know, you hear about these sort of places that are kind of boring because there's nothing to drive the story. But I think that
But
humans will
art,
take
that's
care
art.
of that.
Art is what should be driving the story, not war.
Okay.
You know, I mean, art is plenty. There's plenty enough other things we can do to drive a very interesting story, like creating utopia. Wouldn't that be an interesting story?
More
You know, there are other ways of creating a story. You know, it's the idea that when the water level raised, all boats are raised. I know that's sometimes voodoo economics, but in consciousness, I think that is somewhat true. If you get high enough, if the consciousness raises enough, then maybe the worst thing you could do to somebody is not look them in the eyes when you say hi to them, rather than, you know, stab them in the back when you walk by, which
Right.
is, you know, like not so
There's
unheard
always
of
going to
today.
be conflict between
There's
people
always going to
and
be. There's always a
jealousies and
difference,
romance problems
yeah,
and-
exactly. There's
Why
always
don't
that.
we pull back out of our heads just for a moment and take a moment of dance?
Oh, it's a nice idea. Let's go to Amber. Yes. Thank you for that, Jim. The dance, the beat goes on. Thank you, Amber. Lovely, lovely. It's we're one day away from the feast of Saint?
We're one day past.
Oh, past.
The feast
Would you
of
tell us?
Saint Bridget.
Saint Bridget. Would you tell us about that?
Well, the topic of this show is the resurrection of the goddess. And the goddess Bridget of Ireland is one of the most exciting examples of a very active, growing,
We have her image
contemporary
back here. Do we have her? Am I in
resurrection
her
of the
way?
goddess. She's the top one in the center.
Can we
This
get her
is
okay?
a mask. These masks are from a collection by mask artist Lauren Rains, www.rainwalker.com. She's a mask artist who creates masks of mostly goddesses but also gods from across time and around the world. And this top one in the center is the goddess Bridget. Bridget was originally one of the primal goddesses of Ireland. There are creation stories where Bridget and her brothers create the island of Ireland. And her worship continued into the Christian times. When St. Patrick showed up, they simply changed the Temple of Bridget at Kildare into the Abbey of St. Bridget at Kildare, where it continued basically without interruption all the way up until the Reformation, at which time it was illegal to be Catholic. And all the Catholic, everything, had to go underground.
Those great religious wars.
Right, but it did not die. And the worship of Bridget, the cult of Bridget, never died. It went underground, and the second they were allowed to be Catholics again, all the statues came out. And so today there's a vital and growing cult of Bridget emanating once again from Kildare. It's Catholic. And on this weekend, every year, the weekend of the Feast of St. Bridget, they have an international peace festival, which goes on concurrently with dance and music and ritual and the lighting of the perpetual fire, the eternal fire in the, at the side of the old temple and cathedral of St. Bridget. And the effect on Irish women, the values of St. Bridget that are being promoted by the nuns, the sisters of St. Bridget, are empowering Irish women. Irish women are pretty feisty anyway, but they've been living in a very male-dominated